So let's get started. In the last class, we looked at functions. What code that we have looked at? We looked at sumsquare.c. This is one program that we have looked at. And then we looked at the idea of, there is this problem that we want to read the value of this variable n in the function main and do something about it. Okay, do some computations on it. But the problem is, the value. So let's. There are three functions in this program: read value, print value, and main. Main has one local variable name n. The scope of the variable declared on line number 16 is within the main function, that it extends from line 14 to line 20. And then, so we want to use the read value function to read a value into the variable n of the main function. But then when we go to the read value function, how many parameters the read value function has? One parameter. And what is the scope of the parameter n? That is for the read value function. What is its scope? It is the function read value. That is, it is visible only within the read value function, lines 4 to 7. Outside that, it is not visible. So any modifications, is there any relationship between the n on the parameter n for read value and the local variable n in main? Is there any relationship between them? There is no relationship between them. So in fact, if you see, let's compile this program again. So cd cp21a. This is readval.c, gcc. I want to emphasize this point again for those of you who perform this may not be quite clear. So gdb a.out. I am putting a break on line number 18, running the program. So now I am printing the address of a variable. So the variable n, so now we are in the scope of the function main. And so we are printing the address of the variable n. And do you see the address of the variable n? It is in hexadecimal form. Did you study hexadecimal numbers in your DSM course? Right? Yeah. So you see that there is a hexadecimal number. This is the address of the variable n. And this is a local variable. This is the local variable n. So now let's step. Now we are into UI enable. Oh, sorry. Sorry, let me run this program again. I'm putting break on line number 18 and I'm putting a break on the function read value, and I'm putting a break on function print value. So, are you able to see my screen? So run. So now I'm running the program because the GDB prompt is appearing low. So now we are on line number 18. We print the address of variable n. You can see this address. Now I am telling GDB to continue the execution of the program. But since I put a breakpoint on the function read value, as soon as we enter the function read value, the GDB will stop the program execution and give us the prompt. Okay, so now we are on line number 3. We entered read value function, and if we do what is called as a backtrace, we will see that main is calling read value. BT is backtrace. We will look into this. This is also called as a stack trace. We will look into the stack trace later. And so now, if you print the address of n in, so now the address, now when we are printing this print address n, this n refers to this. Okay, this n refers to this. Okay, to the parameter n of read value function. So you can see that the memory allocated for the local variable n in main and the memory allocated for the parameter n in read value, they are different. And we cannot just use print address n, printf address n in C programming language. It's not allowed. GDB permits it, but not C programming language. Now let's continue. I'm saying, so please go ahead and continue executing the instructions. And what happens is it will prompt for an input, and after that it will again break on line number 9 when the print value function is executed, because we set a breakpoint there. So now entered 12. So now print address n. So now we are in print value function. So what I would like you to understand here is print value. Oh, okay. There is something interesting happened, guys. I don't want you to get confused. There is a reason why it gets the same address. But I assure you, yeah. So what happens? Okay, so something funny happened, interesting happened. So number 1, please just pay attention to me. So here, when we printed the address of the variable n, this address is associated with this declaration. And then when we go here, this address is associated with this parameter. Pen work not visible. Okay, thank you. I think what is happening. Is it now better now? Okay. So now the interesting thing happened here, that is this address 3 is supposed to be associated with the parameter n of print value, but you can see the address 2 and address 3, they are matching. So why it is happening here is, so main calls, there is function main calls read value. When read value function is called, the memory for the local variable or the parameter n is allocated. Okay, and it so turns out that this particular address is used to allocate memory for the parameter n in read value. But what happens is after main we returned from read value, the function read value is no longer active. So whatever the memory that is allocated to it is deallocated. And when print value is called, the memory is reused. Okay. So, and when the memory, since the memory is reused, it so happened, because print value and read value look very similar, they have only one parameter. The same address is being reused for the variable n. Do you understand what is happening? That very interesting is happening. Very, very interesting ideas are happening here. That the memory for read value is, so when main calls main, so what happens is, if you see this program has three functions. It has three functions. When we execute the program, we enter into main. And read value and print value function, they are not active. No, just pay attention. It's not going to change any difference, M or anything, okay? You can try it. What I want you to understand is that print value, read value and print value, they are not active when we are in main, and when read value is called, the function became active. And when the function became active, then what happened is the memory for the parameter n is allocated and it got some address. And after we are out of read value, the memory that is allocated for read value function is released. And when print value function is called, then again the memory for the memory is reused. And it just so happened that the same memory is allocated to both the variables. It is a coincidence, yeah, Shamavi. It's a coincidence, but it can change if you declare one more variable. There is a possibility that it is not exactly by chance. Actually, there is a reason why it, but it is not assured. But there is a good probability that if when you have a read value and print value with very similar signature like this, function signature like this, it is quite possible. No. So this is not allocated to any other process. There is an idea of virtual memory. You just think that the whole memory is allocated this process, Harshvardhan. Okay, you just think that the whole memory is allocated to this process. Yeah, memory is being, yeah, so there are multiple, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I want you to think about this again later. But what I would like you to understand is the parameter n in read value, the parameter n in print value, and the local variable n in main. These three things are unrelated with each other. Are you with me on this point? Okay, like they are from three different worlds, they are not related to each other. Just hold on to this point. We will move on, and at some point we will revisit this idea again later. See, for me, there is this interesting thing whether I should prepare too much for the class or don't prepare enough for the class. When I don't prepare enough for the class, I'll get nice surprises like this. And it gives you new, nice ideas. If I prepare before, then I will carefully manage that these things wouldn't happen for you. And you get confused. So which one is? So, all right. So this is a very good surprise to me. So yeah, great. Yeah, there is this question, what is the difference between continue and next? Next will execute the next statement, but continue will keep on executing the statements until it hits a breakpoint. It's a very important command to learn. Next and continue, both are very important. Continue, next, break, these are the three important commands you need to know in GTK. Continue means you continue executing, don't stop until you hit a breakpoint. Next means execute the next statement and stop. And then again you have to say next or continue or whatever it is. All right, now we want to fix this problem. Okay, so we have to start with run. We cannot use next in the beginning. So now we want to fix this program. So let's try to see how we can fix this program. Here comes the idea of pointers. So now what we want to do is, in order to be able to read this value, we want to pass the address of the local variable n to read value. We want to pass the address of, so we want to pass the memory location associated with the local variable n to read value. And then the parameter for read value is, we use that star to indicate that the data type of ptrn is ptr, it's an address, and it contains the address of a memory location which holds an integer. Okay, ptrn. So the data type, we are introducing a new data type, pointer data type. Pointer data type. So we can, although we use like this in order to make it clear, we can perhaps write like this also. Int star is the new pointer data type that we are seeing. If a variable is of type int star, if a variable is of type int star, like this is now ptrn. ptrn should hold, what should it hold? So ptrn, it holds the address. Let's say it holds the address 4410x4410. So this is the address of some memory location where an integer is present, perhaps the variable n. Okay, 0x4410. So now when here what is happening is the address of local variable n is being passed to the read value. Okay, is being passed to the read value function. Very, very critical thing, guys. Just pay attention to me. Int temp. So, and then sorry, star. So what we are doing on line 7 and line 8 is we are reading an integer into the temporary variable, and we are saying star ptrn is equal to temp. What it means is, this is star, this is an operator. This is what is called as a dereferencing operator. This is called pointer dereference. dereference. So when we apply star ptrn, what happens is the net effect is you go to the address which ptrn contains, and in that address you update whatever the value of temp you write. Okay, let's say if temp contains 20, then you write 20 into the memory location which ptrn contains. It is allowed, Parth. Are you with me on this one? On line number 10, does it make sense for you? Star ptrn means ptrn variable contains an address. You go to that address and you update that location. Don't update ptrn. Go update the location pointed by ptrn. What is star ptr? So let's run this program and see what happens. Okay, let's run this program, and you will follow along. All of you who have a problem, pay attention as we step through the code for this program. Are you all ready to step through the code? Pay attention, and what are the doubts you have, keep them in your mind. Don't think about them right now. Just follow my line of thinking. So Nipuns, don't ask any questions, okay? All of you don't ask any questions for some time and just follow along with me. This is going to be a bit tricky, this example. The first observation I would like you to make is this. We introduced a new data type. It is a pointer to an integer data type. Okay, this is int star. So new data type. Pointer to an integer data type. It's not integer, okay? So now gdb a.out. I want you to use your pen and paper and draw for yourselves what you are going to observe in this GDB session. I set a breakpoint on the function main, breakpoint on read value, breakpoint on print value. I put breakpoints on 3 functions. And now running the program. Now we are in main. So now I'm printing the address of main. Can you make a note of the address of main? Can you make a note of so let's see. This is whole memory. For the sake of simplicity, let's remember the last 3 digits of the address, 304. Is it okay? This is 304. It is the address of the variable n in main. So this is the address of the variable n in main. And what does n contain? What does n contain now? n is not initialized, right? So it can contain garbage value. Yes or no? So if I print n contains some garbage value. Right now it is saying 32767. Nipun, pay attention. You asked a question, so some of you 32767. It is a garbage value that is present. So yeah, now we are in function main and I am executing. Since there's a breakpoint, we stopped. Yeah, for some reason it is 32767 here. That the point of this exercise, that's not guaranteed. So don't worry about it. Okay. So now when we say continue, what happens is the instructions of the main will execute. And when will you get a break again? When and where do you get a break again? In read value. Excellent. Okay, on entering read value, there is a, now I am putting a, if you see, okay, we'll just keep it like this. Let's, so now, what is the address of PTRN? PTRN is a local variable, right? So we are doing print the address of PTRN, and you can see the address of PTRN. There is some prefix and then 2D8. We just focus our attention on the last 3 digits. So 2D8. We are talking in hexadecimal form now. Okay, 2D8, and this is the address of PTRN. This is the address of PTRN in read value function. I'm using read. Are you with me till this point? That PTRN is a local variable to read value, and it has an address, and its address is 2D8. Now, if we examine the contents of PTRN, what will it contain? Top right corner is not visible. Yeah. So now let's print the contents of PTR capital. How do I print it? PTR P/X. Oh, it's not yet initialized. Let's do one thing. Okay. So now PTR. Yeah, now you can see that PTRN contains the address of the variable length 304. You can see here. Are you all with me here? PTRN now contains the address of. Okay. Nipun, are you with me? Great. So now, very simple. So now we are in what was not initialized. So Divij, so what happens is when we call read value, some instructions have to be executed to set up things right. Okay, so because of that, PTRN is not initialized. Okay, it's a good question, good observation. So now let's go to next. Okay, and we are reading the variable, and we are reading the data into temp. We are reading the data into temp. And if you look at the address of temp, okay, address of temp is 2E4. Address of temp is 2E4. This is temp. Address of temp is 2E4. And what does temp contain? What does temp contain? Temp contains 10. That is the value that we have entered. I hope you are all with me till this point. Okay, you're all. So if I say print temp, you will see the temp contains 10. Now we are going to next line. So now we are about to execute line number 10. What happens in line number 10 is when we say star PTRN, so you don't write the value, you don't copy 10 into PTRN, but instead you chase the address that is present in PTRN. And what is the address that is present in PTRN? The address that is present in PTRN is the address of the local variable n of main. You go to that address and you overwrite it with 10. Are you all with me here? Does it make sense? That's what star does. Star, what it does is whatever the value it gets, it goes, it goes to that, it examines that memory location. PTRN contains 304, right? So whatever the address that is, value that is present in PTRN, it goes to that address and there it updates it. Okay. So this is equivalent to star 304. Star 304 means go to the address that 304 and update. So now let's do next. And now you can see okay, next you are out. And if you see the value of n, so now we are in main function and you can see that the value of the local variable n got updated. So this is how we use pointers to kind of modify data, without by still sticking to call by value parameter passing mechanism. Are you all with me here on this example, on this trace? So if you're all on this, I will introduce you to the next idea. I'll introduce you to the... Okay, Srija has a good question. So we don't need temp here. Actually, we can just pass PTRN here. That's it, because PTRN anyway contains the address of the variable. So you don't need line number 10. You just, this will simply work. Are you with me here? Because scanf needs the address of the memory location which it would like to update. So just pass PTRN. Why do you need to use temp and do all that? It's not required. No, we just use PTRN. PTRN contains the address. We just pass. So star PTRN, it's the contents of the memory location. Yeah. Hey, don't worry about backtrace command. It is PTRN. What does scanf require? Scanf require the address of the memory location which it needs to update. So when we use PTRN, whatever the address that is present in PTRN, what is the address that is present in PTRN? That is the address of the variable n. So it gets updated. Are you with me here? So instead of this, if I use the scanf, if I use the statement on line number 10, what will happen? If I use the statement on line number 10, what will happen? PTRN would get updated, exactly. Okay. On line number 10, if you use address of PTRN, PTRN variable gets updated. But what we want is we want n to be updated. Okay, so line number 10, understand the difference between line number 8 and line number 10. This is like a quiz question. You will get something like this in the quiz. If you're all okay with this, shall we move on? Those of you who are having no kind of little bit doubt, it requires a bit of thinking. So after the class is over, so think about this carefully. Okay, this pointer business. Okay, so now we will move to the one more idea I would like to introduce you is again in this context. You know, like for example, here, let's go back to the previous code where we are using ampersand temp. This is the original code that we have. So if you use, let's say, if you want to you say this star ptr n is equal to star ptr n plus 1. Okay, so in this case, what happens is when we use star ptrn on the right hand side, we read the memory location, associated memory location. Okay, ptrn contains some memory. We go to that memory location and we read the contents of that memory location. So now when we run this program, let's run this program. Can you tell me what will happen? What will be the output? GCC readvar.c. You can see the memory location associated, the address that is present in ptrn, you know, that memory location got incremented by 1. Again, are you all with me here? When this comes on the right hand side, it's a read operation. When it comes on the left hand side of equal to, we are going and updating the corresponding memory location. All right. I'm hearing a huge blank in the chat. Akrit, Ayush Acharya, Ayush Yadav. They're all doing good. Aditya, VSR, Aditya Raghuvanshi, Aditya Tejpal, Adnan, Advait, Akshit Sharma, Ame Chaudhary, Amoga, Ananya. They're all doing all right. But I would say if you're a bit confused, it's very normal when you hear pointers for the first time. So all you have to do is think about it slowly. Yes, that's true. If you use address of pointer n, then ptrn would get updated. Okay, let's get going now. So I want to cover a couple of important ideas before we take read sum square.c sum array. Okay. So here you are doing quite a few problems in assignment 2, and you have to write modular code. Okay, and I would like you to, so because of that, I want you to help you figure out how to write code in a modular way when there are arrays. So here you can see that we are reading the marks here, but what we would like to have is we would like to have what do I say? We would like to have a read function, void read marks. Okay, and we want to pass an array. So we want to read the array and to the read marks function. Okay, so the way we pass array is we say int a with square bracket, and so you can see that we have to pass the size of the array explicitly. Int size, the size of the array we have to pass explicitly because yeah, so that's how it is in C programming language. We will understand the reasons a bit later, but for the time being, if you have to pass an array to a function, this is the mechanism by which you have to do. And what do you do? So you don't worry about optimizations and all. So for the time being, let's we'll get to them later. Are you all with me on the way we are reading array A using read marks function? This is the canonical form I would like you to follow while writing your assignment 2 problems. While solving your assignment 2, you follow this thing. And then here, what do we do? So read marks, and we just pass marks and NO students. Okay, so here I want you to pay attention that we are not passing address of marks, we are just passing marks because marks contains the base address of the array. Marks contain the base address of the array, so we are passing the address here. And then we compute the sum of marks, and finally we print the average marks. Okay, let's run this program and see if it runs or not before sum array function.c 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does this make sense? Yeah. Are you with me here? When we are calling this function read marks, we don't use ampersand here. We just use marks because marks contains the base address of the array, and that address we are passing as a value to the read marks function. Yeah. Is everyone with me here? Here we are not, what I want you to understand here is, let's see what happens if this happens, okay? If this still works. I don't want you to cause confusion here. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't work. So here we want to marks contains marks, the variable, the array variable marks, it contains the base address of the array. It contains the base address of the array. So in order to understand what I mean by this, okay, let's get back here and do a GDB, GCC sum array function.c, I have to use minus G. GDB a dot out, break main, break read marks. Okay, someone is good. So now, if you print marks, okay, or rather, how do I print the contents of marks? I don't want it. Good. So now if you see that marks variable, it contains the base address of the array. Who is this 1 plus 9R? Can you introduce yourself? So the statement that is being kept, it's a very nice way to check. So marks contains, or rhythm, sorry, okay. The base address of the array, the variable marks contains the base address of the array, and that is what is being passed to the read marks function. So I am now doing a continue, and since there is a breakpoint on line number 5, we are on that is on read marks. Now if you print A, if you can see that A contains the base address of the, are you all with me here? Does this make sense? The base address is the starting address. You can see, I want you to pay attention. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this corresponds to this, and no, this corresponds to this, and marks, this is base address of the. So because of that, don't give ampersand marks. This is a mistake you could make. Again, this is an exam question. Tomorrow, I'll ask, hey, you want to call a function? Should I, since quiz is coming, no? I'll ask which of the two statements are right? Line 19 or line 20? Which one is right? I'll ask. And what should you answer? Line 19. Exactly. Great. Now, one more idea I want to introduce, that is how to pass 2D arrays. And we can pass address of marks 0. That's a good thing. Yeah. Now, let's look at 2D array.c. This is the 2D array. Last idea for today's session. So we want to have this thing, read matrix. And the important thing in matrix is the first, in the second dimension, we have to exactly give the value of the dimension. We cannot just leave it empty. The first dimension will be empty, but the rest of the dimensions, we need to specify the exact. So read matrix. So this is what we do. And then we'll have, so in the code that you write, the way you should do is, we should have something like read matrix. And here, int size. Okay, so int size, this is how we do. This is print matrix. And then we have so here read matrix, hotel, and print matrix. Okay, so here on line 35, we are calling the read matrix function. And then on line number 39, we are calling the print matrix function. And so we will talk about how 2D arrays are getting, they get mapped. Yeah, are you all with me on this code? Are you all with me on this code? Read matrix and print matrix. This is how I want you to keep this canonical code in mind. And we have to pass n as parameter. It has 2 parameters. N is declared on line number 3. Oh, here it should be. Okay, maybe I'll just make it into flow. Oh, no, this is right on size. This should be all right. We don't need to worry. Actually, in this particular case, actually, the way it should be like this is this. This is bit not nice. In this particular case, both the ends are same, so it's not really a big deal. But otherwise you got the idea, right? That how you have to pass the first dimension value. And you need to know the other 2 dimensions also. Maybe a better way to read matrix, yeah. Actually, a better way to do it is this actually. In 10, you want to pass all the dimensions because you wouldn't know the dimensions. Okay, I will take a step back and I will fix this for you. So a better way to pass this is a signature is like this, where m is the first dimension value and n is the second dimension value. Similarly here, in 10, and we are looking at a of mn. So this is what we have. So this is the dimension. So we are looking at m cross n matrix. So in the matrix declaration, this should okay. I think let's do one thing. Let's hold on. Last 5 minutes of discussion, you flush your mind. We will revisit how to read matrices on the Thursday class. Or we can, we can, that's better, yeah. I know, but still, I have one doubt. I would like to check what is the best way to do it. and I will clarify that idea. Okay. So let's not worry about reading. When you write programs, you read it. Don't use functions. You just read and write matrices in the main function. But I will clarify this idea properly in the Thursday class. The plan for Thursday class, it is twofold. One is to fix this one. How do we pass 2D arrays to their programs? That is one. To functions, that is one. The second idea is we will try to solve the Pythagorean triples problem in the class together. That's number 2. And number 3, any doubts you have, I can help you clarify. Hardik has a question. So Hardik, I will clarify that to you. So usually what happens is, let me stop recording.